On today's episode of Uncut Gems with Slim, you have to win here first. You have to win the mental battle between self-confidence and self-doubt. You move different when you're able to be self-confident in your decisions. Hey guys, welcome back for yet another episode of Season 1 Real Life Goals here on Uncut Gems with Slim. I'm your host, Slim Reshae, aka Jasmine. Y'all know, how y'all doing? What's up? I hope y'all are having a great week so far. I hope you've tuned into Season 1 so far last week. Man, y'all, last week, impeccable. That's all I'm gonna say. I ain't even gonna give you no recap, no snippet, no none of that. Just go back and tune in. Make sure you tune in to last week's episode because we were talking about in due time, trusting the process, and it led all the way down to us student our now. So without further ado, we're gonna hop straight into episode 3. It's all in your mental. Hashtag you versus you. So let's get into it. So the great prophet, Moneybag Yo, he once said, "It's me versus me beefing with myself." Y'all know that song? Yeah. Anyway, so yes, the great prophet Moneybag Yo once said, "It's me versus me beefing with myself." And y'all, he is so right. Like, in life, it is you versus you. You are one of a kind. You can't compete where you don't compare. Baby boy, baby girl, you cannot compete where you don't compare. And the only place you compare is with yourself. So you competing with yourself. So remember that. And so at the end of the day, the moves you make in life are going to be, this is how I kind of narrowed it down. Like at the end of the day, the moves you make in life are based off of self-confidence or self-doubt. Do you go shoot your shot? Are you self-confident? Or do you experience self-doubt? If you experience self-doubt, you're probably not out here shooting your shot. But if you self-confident, you're going to be like, shooters gonna shoot. You get what I'm saying? So a lot of the decisions, if not every decision you make in life, is based off of your self-confidence or your level of self-doubt. And I say this because when these two go to battle, you have to push your self-confidence to supersede every time. Because when you're self-confident, you move different. Things other people say about you don't waver you because you know you're confident in yourself. You're confident in who you are. You're confident in knowing who you are and whose you are. So you can move different. Like, you're not going to react to certain things the same way you would if you weren't confident in yourself. And so, like, your decisions are different. And all of that is based off of your level of self-confidence versus self-doubt. And so, like, you take chances because you're more optimal than doubtful. And so with that being said, like, everything you do starts with a thought. It starts in your brain, which the brain is, I've been watching Grey's Anatomy, and the brain is wild. And the fact that there's neurosurgeons who be tickling and tickle-tackling with the brain, that's a fly. The fact that there's neurosurgeons that be tickling and fiddle-farting with the brain, that is crazy. But back to what we was talking about, like, literally everything starts in your brain. Everything starts as a thought. And so you must win the mind battle first whenever you're doing anything. Like, you have to win here first. And so your mind, when you hear mind over matter, that's literally fact. Like, your mind outweighs matter because that's where it all starts. So I wanted to sit down and record the podcast, even though that's actual factual, that's what I'm doing. It started here first. It started with me planning on coming here. It started with a thought like, I am going to record episode 3 today. It started in my brain. So it always, anything you do starts with a thought. It starts in your mind. And you have to win the mind battle every time because that's how it comes to fruition. That's how it becomes a physical thing, matter in real life. And so if you think about that quote where it's like, if you think you can or you think you can't, either way you're right. That is, hello, actual factual. Like, whatever you think is what will be. Like, it all starts with your train of thought. It all starts with the thoughts that you have and things like that. And that quote just brings clarity to how everything you do, every decision you make starts with a thought. And that's why it is so important to guard your thoughts. So, like, literally, it's you versus you. Like when you're in your mind, yeah, you might have your little mama angel on this shoulder and your daddy angel over here, and you feel like they're coaching you through it, but it's literally you versus you. You are battling your thoughts. You're up against yourself. You know the little TikTok thing? Like you are literally the person who is like, you feel me? Like you are literally the one who is fighting. Like it's an internal battle. And a lot of times it be the devil trying to sneak in, pretend that they you in your head and trying to make you feel like you should be doubtful and all these things. Like, no, it is in your mental. So you gotta guard your mental, you gotta guard your thoughts, and you gotta be careful with what you allow yourself to think, especially when the devil trying to whisper into your ear and tell you that you're not worthy, tell you that you're not good enough, like that you're not gonna achieve XYZ. Like you have to be careful. And in addition to that, the devil come in many forms now. So you gotta be careful who you talking to, the company you keep. You can't let negative Nancy always be nagging in your ear, because it's gonna be harder and harder. We talked about how together is better. It's gonna be hard if you got 50 negative Nancy's in your ear and your positive Patty in there trying to fight 50 negative Nancy's. It's gonna be hard to fight that battle and allow self-confidence and positivity to win that battle. Like you gotta make sure you guard your thoughts, so you are just not letting any and everything slide. You're not letting self-doubt come into play. Like you are sticking true to positive thinking, self-confidence, and all those things. Real quick, I just wanted to take a moment and pause and ask, are you subscribed? Make sure you subscribe to us on all podcast streaming platforms and check out the visual on YouTube at Uncut Gems with Slim. Lastly, don't forget we are also on Instagram. Follow us on Insta to get motivational snippets, episode highlights, and so much more. Now, let's get back to today's episode. And so, like I said, you have to be careful with what you allow yourself to think, because your thoughts carry just about as much power as the tongue. So, they say there's power in the tongue and what you speak. You can't speak it until you think, unless you thought it first. And so there's power in what you think. So be careful when you're thinking of certain things where you're like, oh, because at one time I had to realize, like, we don't experience limitless thinking. I think we did a podcast episode on this a little while back, and it was talking about how you have to take the boundaries off of your thoughts, because a lot of times we have these blinders on because this is what reality looks like. I've never seen better, so I don't know that there's better out there. Okay? So you got to make sure, like, you are allowing your thoughts to, you're guarding your thoughts, but you're still allowing them to be limitless. You're not like binding yourself to a certain thing. There's so much power in your thoughts and in what you speak. And you got to write the vision to make it plain. Well, it all starts here. And so, like, when you're thinking of things, thinking of where you can be in life. So if, for example, I'm from South Carolina, y'all know that. And so in my mind, if I thought South Carolina was like the ceiling of my dreams, the ceiling of what I could do, where I could go, like I might, even though I could be positive thinking and excited and all these things, now I'm limited by thinking South Carolina is the best out there. Why? Because if you're born and raised somewhere, sometimes you don't know what's better. If you don't have the money to travel elsewhere, you don't know what's out there. I never really traveled far until my senior year in college when I interned in New York. And that opened my eyes to see that there is so much more out there. There's so much more diversity. Like that was my first time seeing like Jewish people in their culture. Like I worked for a Jewish company at the time, and so like I was exposed to their culture. Like I learned what falafel was and what actual eating kosher meant. Like all those different things I learned just because I was exposed somewhere else. And I took that ceiling of like South Carolina being like, I can be the greatest whatever in South Carolina. when I went to New York, that allowed me to see, like, one, there's a whole lot out there that I haven't seen, heard, or know of. And because, like, my thoughts were limited to thinking that, South Carolina, you have a lot of people who, sometimes when you're from a small town, you have a lot of people who just grow up where they were born and raised, they stay there, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you grow up thinking that that's all that there is out there, sometimes you need to be exposed to other things. So like I said, when I went to New York, I was exposed to a lot of other things, and it made me think, like, oh my gosh, like, there is so much more world out there, and I'm still in the United States, okay? So, like, I wanted to start traveling more so I could witness and experience other people's culture, just other areas in general. Like, I ain't never seen clear water until I went to the Bahamas and Miami. And that was here within the past 2 years. And so I know that's something small, but I'm just expressing to you how your thoughts can be limited, especially if you grow up thinking that your city or your state is the ceiling. So you don't want to limit your thoughts by saying, oh, I'm going to, if you're a singer or something, I'm going to be the best singer in South Carolina. You're limiting yourself at that point, because now you're not going to be able to speak to goals that are outside of South Carolina because you're thinking based on South Carolina. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going off on a whole tangent that really has nothing to do with this, but I'm trying to explain to y'all how your thoughts are so important. And so, like, you don't want to just think, like, you don't want to limit your thinking. Number one, you don't want to limit your thinking. Expand. When you write your goals, I was talking about this with my mom, and like I said, we talked on an earlier podcast episode about it, where you can't limit what you think you can do. Like, sometimes things might seem scary because you're not accustomed to it. Like, when I started my content creation journey and the whole influencer lifestyle, like, my mom didn't understand it because she didn't grow up with those kind of opportunities. But being able to show her that those things are possible, it opens up a new perspective for her. And so now, like, say if she wanted to, I tell my dad all the time, he low-key could make him a gardening channel because he loves gardening. But, like, before me stepping into this world, like, that would have never been a thought in their mind. You know what I'm saying? So until you get exposed to more things, that's why I say you should be open to learning stuff. Right now I'm just rambling. But anyway, you should just open your thoughts and don't limit your thoughts and dreams because you don't know what's out there. Like, always set your goals with a glass ceiling where there's no, like, top. Like, for me, I don't really have a goal as far as, like, being the best influencer or anything like that, but I do have goals where it's like, why not me? Why can't I have 1 million subscribers? It's possible. Like, but sometimes you'll let reality sit in and you'll be like, oh, well, realistically, like, I could probably do 250K followers. Like, that's probably going to be my best. Like, you set goals. Don't set your goals based on what you feel is, like, realistic, because God don't do miracles for them to be mundane, for them to be basic, bare minimum. God don't perform bare minimum miracles. Okay, so stop thinking bare minimum for your goals and the stuff you want to accomplish, because you're not leaving any room for him to perform miracles that he does. So you have to make sure that you think and you set these goals with limitless thinking. But back to guarding your thoughts, just, like, make sure that you're only allowing positive energy to kind of flow through your mind and your thoughts and your goals. And whenever you have self-doubt creep in or negativity, like, make sure you, like, ready to fight, because it's literally just a mental battle that you have to win time after time after time. And the stronger you get in your self-confidence, the stronger you get mentally, you can win that war every time. So bringing this back to how your thoughts are just as powerful as the stuff you speak with your tongue. Like, when you think about it, everything that comes from your tongue starts with a thought. So you have to be aware of what you allow yourself to think. It's all in your mental. So it's all in your mental. Mental health is very important. So hopefully this episode ain't just discombobulate your brain all the way through. But all in all, the whole purpose of today's episode, you versus you, it's all in your mental. It's for you to know that you have to win here first. You have to win the mental battle between self-confidence and self-doubt. You move different when you're able to be self-confident in your decisions. And so I want you guys to start building your self-confidence. So when you're making decisions, when you're pitching yourself to a brand, when you're pitching yourself to your employer to get a better salary and things like that, you can be confident in what you're saying. You know that, yeah, I might work in the athletic industry, just like Devon Franklin. He's a producer, pastor, all that stuff, and he observes the Sabbath. And so when he worked, I believe at Sony, I might be mixing this whole story up because I read it in his book. I think it's called the 10 Success Commandments or something like that. He was talking about how he, in that industry, it's no days off really. Like, it's not a you can have Sunday off, but that was one of his non-negotiables, and he was confident in that when he went to negotiate like his deal or whatever. And he was like, hey, like, we could do XYZ, but I observe the Sabbath and I need y'all to respect that boundary. Now, I'm not gonna say it's gonna work like that every time, because but it can. And so that's when you have to be confident and stick beside your thoughts, stick beside the goals that you want, and just see it come to life. You have to be confident in what you are pitching. You have to be confident in like your stance when it comes to you making your decisions, and that's gonna show off way better than a cute looking resume. Like, you might have a good resume, but if you come in an interview with confidence and you know like what you bring to the table, that's gonna trump a pretty resume every time, in my opinion. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Fight the battle, okay? Fight it. Make sure you guys are being confident in yourself, and don't let your self-doubt try to take control of all the positive thinking you got to do, okay? So from me to you, from you to me, we gonna not let self-doubt creep in. We gonna be self-confident in ourselves. And when it's us versus, like, it is literally us versus us. The biggest battle we face is against ourselves. Because when you're strong within yourself and you confident, no one's else ideas, thoughts, or nothing can like compare. Like, when you're people ask me all the time, and I'm going off on another tangent, but this is gonna be my last tangent for today's episode. A lot of people ask me, how are you confident in your size, and how did you become confident in like my slim frame? And I'm like, it was never like a question of my confidence in myself. It all started with making sure that I loved who I was. And so it's like, I love my size. I think I'm the finest thing walking, honey. And with me loving myself, I'm able to be confident in myself. And so no one can, like, if someone come in the comments and they like, oh, you look like a little twig or something, or like they try to come for an area of my life that I'm confident in, it will not deter me at all. Why? Because I'm confident. So my rebuttal is going to be different. Even if I even rebuttal, like, how I respond to it is going to be different. Maybe when I was in high school, it might have rubbed me a certain way, but it's certain things like you are unbothered with, because you know who you are. You know whose you are, and you are confident in yourself, and other stuff doesn't like affect you. Like, if you a doctor and somebody try to come at you and they be like, you don't know what you talking about, bruh, I done been in school about 20 years. How you gonna tell me? You see how that response is different than when you doubt if you failed all through, well, you can't fail and become a doctor, but like fail. But anyway, y'all get what I'm saying. Like, be confident in yourself. Do not let self-doubt win the battle, because it's literally just you versus you. and you have to allow your confidence and your strength and your positivity to win the battle every time. It's all in your mental. What you can do, what you can't do, whatever you think you're right. Whatever you think you're right. So this week I want to challenge you guys to like guard your thoughts. Not only guard your thoughts, but open up your thoughts to a limitless thinking, no boundaries. If you want to be an astronaut, baby, start Googling some astrology classes or something like that. Like, go see if there's internships at NASA or something. Like, do not limit yourself because you think, well, reality is like, I can't do that, or I'm too old to do this. Like, literally, the Lord worked miracles for a reason. Like, he don't just be out here like, oh, bare minimum, you get bare minimum, you get bare minimum, you get bare minimum. That's not the God we serve, okay? So make sure you let loose on them thoughts, have your limitless thinking. Make sure you fight the battle because it's all in your mental. I'm going to say that again. It's all in your mental. It's you versus you beefing with yourself. And you gotta be confident in who you are, what you bring to the table, all that. So hopefully I ain't ramble too much today. Y'all, the Prophet Moneybag Yo, signing out. I'm just playing. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Season 1, real life goals. Real life goal today is making sure you win the battle every time. You versus you. Self-confidence over self-doubt. Make sure you win that battle. So I love you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Without further ado, make sure you subscribe. Follow us on Instagram because we definitely dropping some highlights and snippets and all that stuff on Instagram. So make sure you subscribe and follow us. I love y'all so very much. And until next week. When you're back, when you need to find your purpose, come this way. Uncut gems, uncut gems, slim, yeah, that's her name. Uncut gems, uncut gems, slim, yeah, that's her name. Uncut gems, slim, yeah, that's her name.